Uh,
Yes, thank you.
with all the cities that you represent, you still have time for dear old San Marino.
Well, San Marino did a spectacular job, and it actually was the first city out of the park to actually do a memorial like that in such a spectacular fashion. Seriously.
Maybe it
Wow.
looked like we had more people because we were spread out so much.
Well, you did it well.
Hello, Fiona. Welcome.
Hi.
Looking forward to honoring you today. Hi, Dennis.
Hello.
If I can ask all of the honorees, if you haven't renamed yourself, your account, if you can rename yourself now, we can easily identify you. I appreciate it so much. We'll get started in a few more minutes. Hello, Devin. Welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for coming today.
Well, thank you for having me.
Okay, great. And hello, Fiona's parents. Welcome. Ashley, good to see you here. Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, I'll refrain from scaring the parents about the academies, so. Hi.
Sure you have your stories.
Oh, well, my parents also have their stories too. I'm sure how
Oh, your parents too,
how painful
okay.
it was for me even to attend the school. And then I have two boys serving on active duty now. Yeah, it's yeah, I'm sure they have their own stories to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, try planning a family trip when you have two boys on active duty serving all over the world.
Wow. Yeah.
Is this bothering
Yeah.
you?
Actually, it's fortunate because my brother is actually stationed right here in Hohenfels, Germany. So I actually got the privilege to re-enlist him just a few weeks ago.
Okay. Okay. Great. And how long will you be in Germany for?
Just until July. So just basically another month.
Wow.
And this serves as a deployment. So 6-month deployment tour here
Okay.
in Stuttgart. So it's
Okay.
so
Yeah.
there's worse places in the world to deploy to for 6 months, honestly.
Okay. My bad. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us all the way from Germany. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
Justin, do you know Ali Campbell?
Everything done this morning?
Campbell, no, don't know. Where do they work at?
Where does he work, Bill? Ollie?
So, yeah. So Ali Campbell served in Afghanistan, a fellow San Marino Titan. And,
Oh, okay.
on his third deployment, he was shot 4 times, and he's a miraculous save. And for an average student at San Marino High School, he was a linebacker on the high school football team. After Rangers and after his military service, he went on to get his degree from Dartmouth, and he's now getting a full ride scholarship at UCLA Medical School on a Geffen scholarship. So the service turned him from being a very average student to being a high achiever. And his goal is to be an Army medic, the kind that saved his life.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I have to say that, I mean, some people like they definitely mature way beyond when I joined the military. I'd say I was a immature young kid when I was growing up in San Marino. And then, yeah, I mean, by the time I was like 23 in charge of a platoon, I mean, you're in charge of like 30 people. And I still had friends, who were graduating college, and they graduated right into the recession of 08, 09. And they were just jobless. They just went straight back home to live with their families. And then while I got stationed in Germany and deployed to Iraq. So it's, so it's definitely a different course than, your peers typically.
Hello, John Jones. Welcome. Devin, good to see you. Cal, Chris Tatwaller, good to see you. Greg, and Stephen. We'll get started in just a couple of minutes. Just allow more folks to come on and join us. For those that weren't here a little earlier, we have 8 honorees today. 3 from the Air Force Academy, 2 from West Point, and 3 from the Coast Guard.
Coast Guard, huh?
Yeah, and they're spread out throughout California too, not just our local district. So that's our little program is becoming popular statewide.
So one of the Coast Guard appointees was actually accepted to all of the military academies or all of the service academies. Which one was that?
I don't have that information offhand. I don't recall.
Probably here, just too modest to say.
Yeah, if you are one of those appointees, please let us know from the Coast Guard.
Why did he choose Coast Guard if he was accepted in all?
That's
Not
kind
sure.
of
Yeah, not sure. My personal preference, maybe. All right, folks, we will get started. As we remember that June is Rotary Fellowship Month in the Rotary world, I called the June 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club of San Marino to order. We are truly a club that makes a difference. Thank you. Please stand and join me in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all. Please remain standing. Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation led today by veteran of the United States Army, Dennis Neer.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Since this is the Armed Forces Day program, one of the best programs that we have in the Rotary year, and the fact that we're in the Memorial Day season, I'd like to just make a few remarks about memorials in San Marino, because just last Monday was Memorial Day. It's a day of remembrance that we set aside annually. On the last Monday in May, I remember so clearly that the San Marino community took time to hold close the memory of those who served and died in our armed forces. Our service in Lacey Park began at 9 o'clock, and as it always is, was very, very special. I would like to go on record in saying that one of the many things that I love about the community in which I live is that it does Memorial Day well. We have a memorial that honors those individuals from San Marino who were killed in service to our country. The memorial, which was dedicated in 2007, includes 7 engraved granite panels, a statue of a kneeling soldier, recognition of each branch of the service, an attractive plaza and landscaping. There is also a veterans walk behind the memorial wall that recognizes those who served in the armed forces. Memorial Day is a time for remembering all who have served and who are presently serving in our armed forces, but especially remember those killed in war. San Marino is a small town, but it's deeply important for each of us to know that our memorial lists the names of 53 members of our community who died in wars to protect and preserve our freedoms. So it is my prayer that we give thanks to all who have served and sacrificed for our freedom. My prayer is also one wishing peace between all peoples and all nations. For all who subscribe to this prayer, may the Lord bless them and keep them. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much, Dennis. That was very nice. All right, folks. In honor of our guest speaker, we have a special song today, and I'll ask if you will all sing along. The video contains the captions, so we can sing along. The song is "The Army Goes Rolling Along," and I will play that for you now. One moment. Thank you so much. All right. Next, we will do introduction of guests, and we will introduce the honorees as well as their guests a little later in our program. So I would like to introduce any other guests that came with us today. Rotarians, if you have any guests, please let me know. And we will start with Congresswoman Chu. I'd like to welcome Congresswoman Chu. Thank you so much for dedicating time to come today. We appreciate it. Also from Congresswoman Chu's office is Enrique Robles, who plays an integral part in helping us with this event. Thank you so much, Enrique. And also we have Jonathan Horton from Congresswoman Chu's office. Welcome to San Marino Rotary, and thank you for coming. All right. Major Padua, would you like to introduce your guests, your parents?
Yeah, so my parents are here, Suzanne and Vincent Padua, as well as my aunt, who I wasn't expecting, Lorraine Silienting as well. So she's over here. Yeah, we have a really big Filipino Chinese family, so it's I'm actually surprised there's only two screens on.
Super. Thank you all three for coming today. All right. Do we have any other guests that are not related to the honorees? Oh, Dr. Marlowe, how are you? Good to see you, City Manager of San Marino. Welcome. I see Gilda is here. Okay. Any other guests?
Aaron, I just joined the meeting. How are you, everybody?
Good, how are you?
I just noticed that I have a guest, Robert Donen. Robert, good to see you. Well, we don't see you. We just see your device. Robert is my guest. He's affiliated with the USC Institute for Genetic Medicine. Nice to have you.
Great. Welcome, Robert. Okay. Any other guests not related to the honorees? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you all for coming today. We will now raise our pandemic pig envelopes and our contributions and go ahead and do our donations for polio. Thank you so much, everyone. Great, thank you. Okay, no birthdays this week. We do have member anniversaries. On June 1st, Maurice Salazar celebrates 2 years with our club. And on June 5th, we have 4 members that are celebrating 7 years. Adam Chang, Tony Chow, Rob Filer, and Molly Woodford. So congratulations to all of those. Moving on to our announcements, I will call upon Greg Johansson first.
Thank you, Aaron. I come bearing great news. Last year as president, I was lucky enough to start and end many meetings in person, and it's something that President Aaron has not been able to do this year. But that is soon coming to an end, at least on June 24th. We're going to have President Aaron's demotion, so he'll at least get to start the meeting before JP and I take the mic back and the real fun begins. So look out for an email from me. It's going to be June 24th over at Aaron Weiss's Flying A Garage. It'll be a lunchtime event. So keep an eye out for an email. We'll need some RSVPs and more details to follow. But it'll be a good time. We guarantee it. Thanks, Aaron.
Superb. Thank you, Greg. I have a few more announcements. Debbie Priester informs me that Lucille was admitted into the hospital last Wednesday. And then Lucille Norbert, and then she was released on Saturday. She is home resting. At this time, she's not taking any visitors, only get well cards. So we send our best wishes to Lucille and speedy recovery. Debbie Priester and Terry Petrola both report to me that former longtime Rotarian Doug Larner partially lost his left leg due to a blockage. He is now recovering, and also they are not accepting visitors, just get well wishes. So we send our prayers to both of those folks to get well soon. Troop 351 boys and girls are inviting Rotarians to their Court of Honor on Saturday, June 12th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. The location is to be determined. So please save the date from 4 to 6 for the Boy Scout Troop 351 ceremony. And then I'd also like to thank JP for taking over last week. I appreciate it greatly. And I hope you all had a great time with him, and hopefully a preview of what's to come, and I'm sure it was great. Our program for next week is Craft Talks with members Daryl Topolian and Tony Galaviz. So we're looking forward to that. I want to thank the membership and the programs committee for putting those together for us. Thank you so much. We will now head straight into our program. And if I can ask all of the honorees to please, if you can turn on your screen so that we can see, that'd be great. It is with great pleasure that we welcome to you to the Rotary Club of San Marino's 17th annual salute to the appointees of the United States Service Academies. This year, we are very proud to honor 8 honorees, both from our 27th Congressional District and some from various areas of our state. We all know that normally we would be honoring these appointees and their loved ones with a beautiful luncheon, complete with patriotic decor and celebratory wishes. Nonetheless, our club felt that it's still important to continue on with this very important annual program and celebrate your accomplishment. To the honorees, this day is about you, and we thank you for joining us today. Let's meet our honorees. And if I can ask all Rotarians and guests to go on mute, and I'll ask each honoree, I'll call them by name and ask you a few questions. And if you can unmute yourself when I call your name. We will start with Amy Chui. If you can unmute yourself. And Amy, if you can tell us your full name and the high school you attended and introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf.
Hi, I'm Amy, and I went to Marquepo High School, which is located in Alhambra. And today it's just going to be me.
Okay, great. Amy, what branch of service will you be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us about the moment, about how you felt at the moment you were accepted.
I'm going to be going to the Air Force Academy. I think ever since my siblings attending, I've always wanted to join and also become a pilot. The moment I got it, it was in mid-March, and I was very excited getting the email from Cindy Lee. Thank you.
I'm sorry, getting the email from you? I think we lost you there.
Cindy Lee.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And then are you planning to join any extracurricular activities such as sports or anything like that?
I hope to join the water polo team.
Water polo team.
I will try to walk in after basic training.
Okay. Everyone, please, let's give Amy a round of applause. Thank you for coming today, Amy. Congratulations. Next, from our 27th district, Devin Fung. Devin, if you can unmute yourself and tell us your full name, the high school you attended, and introduce any guests you have attending on your behalf.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Devin Fung. I'm going to graduate from Glendora High School this next Wednesday. And unfortunately, my parents weren't able to come. Something about me really fast. I have 4 other siblings, so we're quite busy.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for coming today. And what branch of service will you be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us about how you felt the moment you were accepted.
I will be attending the United States Military Academy in New York. And I chose Army because, after talking to cadets, to current active duty, to even my field force representative, Mr. Kim, unfortunately, he's not here today. I really got the idea that if you want to become, a leader, and don't get me wrong, all the other service academies, of course, are great places to go for that. But if you really want to develop those skills, it's West Point, it's the Army, it's that environment, it's that culture that could really develop you there. So,
Okay.
and
Go
yeah,
ahead.
and so when I got the email saying that I was accepted, I'm not gonna lie, I was definitely a little scared, definitely excited, very happy. It was just a mix of everything, but
Okay.
to attend this upcoming the end of the month.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Devin. And then are you planning on joining any extracurricular activities?
Yes, I'm very excited for plea boxing. That is a required class, but I know that I'm going to enjoy that a lot. And I was thinking if I choose not to continue through, the sport of boxing after the required class, possibly another martial arts because I did wrestling in high school and I kind of want to continue that on. So maybe jujitsu or something of that sort.
Great. Congratulations, Devin. Round of applause for Devin. Thank you so much for coming today. All right. Next, we have honoree James Chase. James, if you can unmute yourself and let us know your full name, the high school you attended, and introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf.
Hello, everyone. My name is James Chase. I go to Redwood High School in Marin. The people attending today are my mother and father, Kim and Rob Chase.
Welcome, Kim and Rob. And I should mention that James is from the 6th district, all the way up in Northern California. Okay, James, tell us what branch of service you'll be attending and why. Why did you select it? And then tell us how you felt at the moment you were accepted.
So I will be going to the United States Coast Guard Academy. I picked the Service Academy because I'm largely attracted to their more humanitarian mission, like whether that be life-saving or environmental causes. I definitely like the humanitarian aspect to it. When I got accepted, I was very excited. I'm also a little nervous, but definitely excited.
Great. And then are you planning any extracurricular activities?
Yeah, so I'll be rowing at the academy. I'll be part of their crew team. I've been talking to their coach for a while, but I feel like rowing has definitely prepared me for the academy in a lot of ways, and I'm excited to be a part of their team.
Great. Thank you so much, James. Round of applause for James. Thank you for coming. Congratulations. All right. Next from the 27th district, Fiona Yakowitz. Fiona, if you can tell us your full name and high school you attended and introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf.
Hi, I'm Finn Yapkowitz. I went to Polytechnic in Pasadena. This is my mother. She's attending on another computer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you and welcome to your mother. What branch of service will you be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us about the moment you were accepted. Tell us about your feelings.
I will be attending West Point in New York, and I will be attending there because I want to be an infantry officer. So it was either that or the U.S. Naval Academy for the Marine Corps. And I got into West Point, so chose that one to become an infantry officer. And the moment I found out, I actually got a call from my field force representative.
Oh,
and I didn't know at the time that I was accepted. And yeah, he kind of gave me that information. So I was pretty excited when I found out. I was actually really excited when I found out. It was in the middle of a Zoom class, and I kind of was more excited about that than my Zoom class. But yes, it was very exciting.
Great. And then tell us about any extracurricular activities you're planning.
I'm also pretty excited for plebe boxing. Looks pretty fun. And other than that, I don't know if I'm going to pursue boxing after plebe boxing, but a team that I'm really interested in is the combat weapons team.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. And it's Fionn, correct?
Finn. There's a silent
Finn.
O.
Okay.
Finn.
Sorry about that. All right. Finn. Welcome. Thank you so much, Finn. Round of applause for Finn. All right. Next, we have Ashley Lynn. Ashley, if you can introduce yourself and tell us the high school you attended and introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Lynn, and tomorrow I'll be graduating from Arcadia High School in Arcadia, California, and I'm here by myself today.
Okay, great. All right. And what branch of service will you be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us how you felt the moment you were accepted.
I'll be attending the Air Force Academy, and the Air Force really appealed to me because I really liked their diversity, and as an Asian American female, I thought it would really fit me. And when I got my acceptance email or letter, I was sitting right here and I jumped up and screamed and ran to go tell my family.
Okay, great. All right. And then tell us, are you planning to join any extracurricular activities?
At the Air Force Academy, I definitely want to do research, and I'm just excited to explore my other options and get to know the campus and all its offerings.
Great. Congratulations, Ashley. Thank you so much for coming today. All right, folks. Next, we have Gustava Drew from the 39th District in Orange County. Gustava, if you can introduce yourself, the high school you attended, and then introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf.
Hi, I'm Gustava Drew. I just graduated from Diamondbar High School, and I have both my parents here today, as well as a commissioner from Pomona Valley Inland and a family friend, Mrs. Houston. So thanks for coming.
Oh, well, thank you. And thank you. Welcome to all of your guests. Gustavo, tell us about the branch of service you'll be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us how you felt at the moment you were accepted, please.
So I'm going to be going to Coast Guard Academy. And like James said, I really like Coast Guard Academy because it's a humanitarian service, especially search and rescue, because I'm a student pilot and I love the idea of being able to use that to help other people. And when I got the acceptance, I was just super shocked because like you can see, there are so many great people who apply every year.
Okay, great, thank you. And then are you planning to join any extracurricular activities?
I definitely want to do aviation club and I'm really excited to try sailing.
Sailing, oh nice, congratulations, Gustavo. Thank you for coming today. All right, next from our 27th district, we have Liam Marcus. Liam, if you can unmute, introduce yourself, the high school you attended, and then introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf, please.
Hi, my name is Liam Marcus. I attended South Pasadena High School, and it's just me on the Zoom call.
Okay, great. I'm also a fellow Tiger. All right, so tell us about what branch of service will you be attending and why did you select it? And then tell us how you felt the moment you were accepted.
I'll be attending the United States Air Force Academy. It first came to my attention when they recruited me for water polo. But I love the path there for getting into med school and becoming a physician.
Great. And then tell us how you felt the moment you were accepted.
Oh, it was amazing. One of the best moments of my life. It was my first choice, and it's always nice for things to go the way you want them to.
Great, thank you so much, Liam. And then are you planning to join any extracurricular activities?
Yes, I'm going to be playing for the water polo team as the goalie. And I'm also thinking about joining the health professionals club there to be prepared for medical school. And that's it.
Great. Thank you so much, Liam. Congratulations. Round of applause for Liam. Thank you for attending today. All right. Now we have from the 9th District in Northern California, Paige Belkins. Paige, if you can unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and the high school you attended, and introduce any guests that are attending on your behalf, please.
I'm Paige Felkins, and I have my mom, Rhonda, and my dad, Steven, and I attended Lincoln High School in Stockton.
Okay, welcome to your parents. Thank you for coming today. All right, Paige, tell us what branch of service will you be attending and why you selected it, and then tell us how you felt the moment you were accepted.
So I'll be attending the Coast Guard Academy, and I chose Coast Guard mainly because I was interested in their law enforcement missions. And when I got the call that I was accepted, like I was so grateful and so happy, and I felt like all my hard work paid off.
Okay, great. Congratulations. Are you planning to join any extracurricular activities?
Yeah, I plan to be a part of the jazz band and dance team.
The jazz band, and then what was that?
The dance team.
Oh, the dance team. Okay, thank you so much. Congratulations, Paige. Thank you for coming for today. We want to thank all honorees for coming today and all of their guests, their special guests for coming today. Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone here to support these appointees and honorees and their great adventures that lie ahead. And now we are honored to have Congresswoman Judy Chu representing the 27th Congressional District here today. Rotarians, honorees, and guests, please welcome Congresswoman Chu for a few words.
Well, thank you so much, Aaron. And hello, everyone. It's a real pleasure to join all of you today for the 17th Annual Salute to the Academy Appointees ceremony. Despite the challenges of the pandemic, you've been able to continue this important tradition in recognizing the future leaders of our country. I particularly want to thank the two co-chairs, Aaron Gill and Bill Payne, for working hard every year to put this event together. I also want to thank the Rotary Club of San Marino. You have hosted this event. In fact, you are the only service club in my congressional district that has an event like this to honor the Academy appointees. So you go above and beyond the call of duty, but also you just do such incredible work on a regular basis. In the face of adversity, you all rose to the occasion and provided important support during this pandemic, whether it was organizing a canned food collection for those in need, providing an annual Christmas gifts to the children of La Casa, or successfully putting together a Walk for Polio event. You continue to serve the community during this challenging time. So thank you for everything that you do. And finally, I want to thank all the parents joining us today. The support you've provided to your child is monumental and has undoubtedly helped them with their success. As a member of Congress, I have the privilege of nominating a select number of people each year to 4 of the 5 service academies. I take this responsibility very seriously because these young men and women will not only be officers in our military, but leaders of our country. This is why we have an extensive application process. Every student is required to include an essay, resume, recommendation letters, and most importantly, they all have to go through a challenging interview process with a panel of judges. This year, we had a total of 26 individuals apply to 1 or more of the service academies. And what makes the process so difficult is that each student is truly incredible. All of them boast high GPAs, numerous athletic accomplishments, amazing volunteer experience, and a remarkable set of skills. Because of how competitive it is to get into the academies, it takes a long time to go through the applications. But at the end of the day, I had the privilege of providing nominations to the most highly qualified candidates. And I'm thrilled that 8 of those candidates were offered appointments. I'm so proud to say that this continues the great track record we have here in the 27th Congressional District. Despite each member of Congress only having 1 slot for each academy, we oftentimes receive multiple appointments because we have such a high caliber of students. Case in point, this year, We had 4 candidates admitted into the Air Force Academy, 2 to the Naval Academy, and 2 to West Point. Now, you've just had the pleasure of hearing from each of our appointees, as well as those from our neighboring congressional districts. But I am very, very proud of my appointees. So to Amy Chu, Devin Fung, Ashley Lynn, Liam Marcus, and Finn Yapkowitz, a big hearty congratulations to you. And let me say to each of you and all of you, attending one of the academies is truly a distinct honor. In doing so, you commit yourself to the highest standards of academic and physical excellence, and you commit yourself to serve the United States of America as a leader of outstanding character. At each academy, you'll face challenges in the classroom and on the field. Your idea of success will be tested, and you will be pushed to your limit. In fact, there will be days where you will doubt your capabilities and ask yourself if you can actually graduate from the academy. But despite the difficulties you will undoubtedly face, I want you to remember that you most certainly have what it takes to succeed. You have received an academy appointment because you worked hard and earned this honor. And there's no doubt in my mind that you have the abilities, talent, and fortitude to succeed at the academy. And once you graduate, you will have gained incredible skills and experiences that will help you for years to come. The opportunities available to you will be endless. And whether you choose to continue a career in the military, work in the boardrooms of major businesses, study the outer reaches of space, or serve the public as an elected official, as a graduate of the Service Academy, you will make a profound impact on this country. So, congratulations to all of you on this amazing accomplishment. I look forward to seeing all the great things that you will do in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman Chu. Thank you so much for devoting the time today and every single year we put on this event. We greatly appreciate. We appreciate those in your office, Enrique, Lindsay, Cindy, and Jonathan for coming today and for helping us throughout this whole process of getting this event, making this event happen every single year. So thank you. We appreciate your time, Judy. Thank you. Okay, it is now my pleasure to introduce co-chairman of this event, Mr. Bill Payne, who will introduce our keynote speaker. Bill, if you can unmute yourself, Bill.
Thank you, President Aaron. This 17th annual Salute to the Service Academy Appointees program commenced when Rotarian James Nash's son, Miles, was headed off to West Point, a fitting send-off from a grateful and admiring club and public. Our speaker is also a graduate of San Marino High School in 2004 and of the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in 2008. Major Justin Padua currently is in command of a civil affairs company on a 6-month deployment in Stuttgart, Germany. His company has teams spread out all over Eastern Europe. He also received, and is in addition to his degree from the Military Academy, a Master's of Public Administration at USC in 2016, and a Master's of Defense Analysts in Irregular Warfare from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey in 2019. While he is the second Service Academy grad still in the service to address us, he is the first to be Zooming in a different country, this time Germany. Let's give our speaker a warm welcome home and San Marino Rotary welcome, Major Justin Padua.
I appreciate that, Bill. Yeah, so hello from Stuttgart, Germany. I'm only 9 hours ahead, so it's about like 9:40 here. But I still do meetings late at night, just because my home base is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So yeah, so I just want to first thank the Rotary Club of San Marino, especially Mr. Bill Payne for reaching out to me and inviting me to be the keynote speaker. Thank you, Congresswoman Chu, for being here as well. And I also want to thank my parents and my other family members also for attending the event. So lastly, I also do want to congratulate all of you on your acceptance to West Point, the Air Force Academy, and the Coast Guard Academy. I honestly can't remember, but it's like, I was like thinking, it's like, okay, I know West Point, I know where the Air Force Academy is in Colorado Springs, but for the life of me, I still can't remember ever where the Coast Guard Academy is. So sorry, Coasties, but just something I just never keep forgetting about. But yeah, just kidding. You guys are also awesome, even though you're not part of the Department of Defense. You guys are still very much valued member of the team, and I've worked with a bunch of Coasties myself, so it's they're very, very cool to be partnered with. It's definitely no small feat to get into any of these schools. And I'm sure your parents are really proud of you and definitely happy, because if you do attend, it'll mean no tuition payments for 4 years. I mean, parents, I'm sure you definitely thought about that. Yeah, I know my parents did, and they're definitely happy about that. So I'm speaking to you all today to not just congratulate you or alleviate the fears of your parents due to this path you have volunteered for, but I do want to share with you some of my thoughts and my personal experiences to maybe help you chart your way forward through your entryway into military life and hopefully inspire you, because that's the job of a leader, which you ultimately have all signed up to be. So there's really 3 things I want you all to remember as I tell you my story from West Point plebe to today's U.S. Army major. So number 1, selfless service. There are a lot of demands that will be placed on you as an officer in the armed services, and you'll be expected to place your subordinates' interests above your own. Most importantly, you'll sometimes have to do what's best, not for you or your soldiers, airmen, or guardsmen, but what's best for your unit, your service, and the nation. In those cases, you need to still instill trust and confidence in your subordinates, and the best way to do that is to lead from the front. Put in more of the effort, feel more of the pain, sacrifice more than everyone else, and you'll gain their trust. Number 2, resilience. There are going to be a lot of tough, challenging times you'll face at the service academies and even while serving in the military. The best advice I can give you is to always think about your own actions and what you could have done better. You need to continue learning about yourself and continually to seek improvement, because in the end, that's what's expected of you as a leader as well. Number 3, empathy. Now, this one's actually tougher than it sounds. Many are just not attuned to be able to read minds and emotions very well. I mean, I know, for those people who are married out there, there's definitely a daunting challenge. So aside from being able to read one's mind as a leader, you'll need to read not just the minds of your soldiers, but the atmosphere and the sentiments in your unit. Be mindful of it, understand it, and do something about it if it needs to be worked on. It's very easy for morale to falter. So as a leader, it's your responsibility to have that empathy and intuition and to act to maintain that healthy environment. What's great is that the service academies offer that test bed for you to really trial and error your leadership, with your peers, because you are all, around the same age. So it's definitely a great leadership institution. All the academies, honestly, not just West Point, which I am biased for, by the way. Okay, so let me transition here. I want to just make sure I share my screen with you all, because I do have a PowerPoint. Okay. Okay, so I hope you can see that. Okay, so 17 years ago, I was also sitting in this room just like you all at the Rotary Club of San Marino. I was actually physically there and didn't have to do it virtually like we're doing now, so hashtag COVID life. But the events of September 11th, 2001 happened during my sophomore year at San Marino High School, followed immediately by the war in Afghanistan and the war in Iraq in 2003. All considered the global war on terror. I have to say that those events all shaped me at a time when I was thinking about what I should do for college. Furthermore, I was also interested in military history, such as the Civil War and World War II, thanks to my dad. So ultimately, West Point really came to mind when I started thinking about people like, George Patton, Eisenhower, MacArthur. So, definitely it's like, okay, where did all those people go to school? Oh, they went to West Point. What's West Point like? Is that like a 4-year school too? It's like, yeah, it is. Okay, maybe I'll apply. So that's kind of how it came to mind. And that was about, around my sophomore year of high school. I decided and committed to, you know what, I want to apply to West Point. So like all of you right now, I was young and excited, couldn't wait to graduate, lose my summer between high school and college while all my friends would have had a great vacation. Instead, go to the U.S. Military Academy at West Point so I could be yelled at it on our day. So let me tell you about Beast Barracks. I'm sure a lot of it has changed, but in the end, it's your introduction to military life. I'm sure all the other academies have something similar, and you'll experience something very, very much like a civilian to military lifestyle. And that transition is going to be, it's going to be different. That civilian to soldier, civilian to guardsman, civilian to airman will be a shock, but you'll definitely get through it. In addition to all the discipline that will be instilled in you, you'll also be integrated into the academy culture and follow the even more strict standards the traditions call for. I don't want to spoil the surprise, at least for West Point, but meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner are kind of heavy on all of those things. And don't worry, you'll find out. So I actually survived through Beast. I call it survived, yes. But even my own roommate, though, actually quit that first summer. He already done 1 year college back in Rhode Island and didn't think he was a right fit for the academy. So sometimes you'll learn that resilience of some isn't too strong for the military, especially when there's seemingly better options out there. To be honest, a lot of Beast tends to be a blur for a lot of people. You remember the big moments like our day and getting to call home halfway through and field training at Lake Frederick and the march back. But for the most part, the detailed memory simply disappears as you kind of look forward towards the school year. So with that said, the school year, that's my roommate, by the way, so there are fun moments at West Point, don't worry. So when the school year starts, you realize that over the summer, there was only a few upperclassmen training you as the cadre, but then you can come late August, you're suddenly outnumbered 3-1, yikes. At least that's how I felt. School was kind of like high school, basically high school, basically. At San Marino High, I had 6 periods throughout the day, 4 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, with sports after school. I actually ran cross country and track. West Point is honestly no different. The academy is an engineering school. So I was an economics major in the social science department with computer science as my engineering track. I had to take a language. So I did Chinese just for a year. There's a civilian instructor who was called the Dragon Lady. So I wasn't really too interested in taking any more classes for really good reasons. Being from San Marino and a history buff myself, I'm pretty familiar with General Patton's story. Apparently he was a cadet who never ever went to the library. When I showed up at West Point, they strategically placed him right in front facing the library. I haven't actually seen it since they did a lot of the remodeling work, but apparently they relocated his statue to now face away from the new library. It's a big inside joke because Patton wasn't exactly the library going type. And honestly, neither was I. 4 years with training during the summers can go by quick. That's something you guys have to remember is that during the summertime, you're not going to get a 3-month summer. You're going to be doing a lot of additional extracurriculars, and extracurriculars meaning as in field training or other kinds of things. I know the Naval Academy does cruises. Not sure exactly where the Air Force Academy goes, but I'm sure the Coast Guard Academy also does similar type of training events. So during the summer, one summer I attended airborne school between my sophomore and junior year. I got to also be cadre for the incoming sophomore class during their summer field training. When you're cadre, that's when you truly start to be a leader. I was in charge of about 8 sophomores and was basically a squad leader of 2 fire teams. It's easier when you have real rank in the Army, but at the academy, these kids are just a year younger than you and will undoubtedly question everything you do. So this is where selfless service truly comes in. You'll clearly need to place their needs above your own, get in front of the danger, eat last, and demonstrate that you're a competent leader. It's definitely tougher than it sounds. During another summer, I had the opportunity to shadow a medevac officer who basically pilots medical type Black Hawk helicopters. This was at Fort Hood, Texas, which wasn't all that great of a place, but at least I got to ride Black Hawk several times. One of those pictures is actually on top of the Dallas Convention Center. So I had a great time doing that. That same summer, I was also afforded the opportunity to do an internship at the Pentagon with the Department of the Army headquarters. Since I was an econ major, I worked with programming and budgeting, which wasn't too exciting, but it was great, great opportunity living in the National Capital Region for a month and get to work, at the Pentagon. As I was finishing my time at the Academy, I had the opportunity to be a platoon leader during an academic semester and led some great cadets, one of which was Albert Song. So I want to tell you this story. Albert was a Southern California native like myself. He was actually a Korean American kid from Cerritos High School. He was a great water polo player and even actually played for the Army team. Even after I left school and started serving, I continued to talk to Albert and give him what guidance I could. He became an infantry officer, went through training, even going through Ranger School a few times, due to recycling through some phases. If you know anything about Ranger School, it's definitely one of the hardest schools. It's 62 days of just grueling, barely eating, just infantry tactics in Fort Benning and Florida. Definitely a tough school, but he definitely called me every single time that he had to eat recycled or he had a break from it. Always wanted my advice, and I always gave him the time of day to talk. Eventually finally made it and got to go to his first assignment in Hawaii. So tragically though, today, while on leave back home here in LA, he went out with a group of friends. He was defending a friend of his at a club, and he got so physically beat up that he actually had to be placed on life support, and eventually he was declared brain dead. So today's actually the anniversary of his death, and to me, he'll always be missed. So I definitely wanted to bring that up because of that. So that leads me to empathy. So as much as sometimes you want to be tough in front of your soldiers, you got to be in tune with your own emotions, and especially the emotions of others. Show that you're a human being to others, and especially with your subordinates. Albert wasn't one of my subordinates. I definitely, gave him that time of day. I definitely cared a lot about him. Even when I was a cadet, as a firstie, I was just a senior. He was a plebe. I didn't really believe in all that strict hazing type of things and tactics. And I definitely took him, under my wing. And so I mentored Albert as much as I could because I truly cared about him since when he was a plebe. And in the end, you have to care about all your soldiers, no matter who they are. Okay, so after 4 long years, graduation day finally came. I'll tell you, you'll never forget that day, and the way that the Academy does graduation, I think, is like no other institution. I ended up commissioning as a second lieutenant in the Signal Corps and attended a basic leader course at Fort Benning and then Signal basic course in Fort Gordon. Yeah, so that's some of the basic courses that I had to attend. My first assignment was in Germany with the 12th Combat Aviation Brigade, where I served as a network support platoon leader and a company executive officer. I have to say that being a platoon leader of actual soldiers was much easier than that of cadets. I'd say follow your senior enlisted advisor's advice, but also hold them and all your soldiers accountable. A challenge I had to deal with was that my own platoon sergeant was not the greatest. I even had to recommend him for punishment due to sexual harassment allegations alleged against him. Mind you, I was just 23 at the time, and I had to pass Uniform Code of Military Justice judgment on this person who was a 40-year-old experienced soldier. So, when you're a commissioned officer, even as a young lieutenant, you are definitely expected to really be responsible, be accountable for the actions and even the lives of your own soldiers. So I served 3 years in Germany with 1 tour in Iraq between 2009 and 2010. My only combat tour in the Middle East. Germany was great. Got to enjoy Oktoberfest, traveled all throughout Europe on the many 4-day weekends the Army gives you. Sorry, Navy, Air Force folks, from what I heard, they don't give you those 4-day weekends as much as the Army. So apologize if, for comparison. So after Germany, though, I went back to Georgia to attend the Signal Caps career course, and I transitioned to becoming a civil affairs officer. Like the Special Forces Green Berets, civil affairs is one of the 3 special operations branches, so it encompasses Green Berets, that's special forces officers or special forces. You got civil affairs, which is what I do, and you also got psychological operations. Basically, I had to go to a 10-day assessment selection, an 11-month qualification or Q course, where they teach you civil affairs skills and a language of which mine was Chinese again. And honestly, I still struggle to keep up with Chinese as a language to this day. Civil affairs is essentially like the military's diplomats in a way. We work in small 4-person teams, identify social and civil vulnerabilities that our enemies, such as terrorists or state actors, try to exploit. And we conduct activities intended to stabilize those societies and deny their exploitation. We also do a lot, so I know a few of you mentioned humanitarian type of operations. We're usually at the forefront of most humanitarian work as well, deploying with the Navy, the Air Force, the Army, Coast Guard, you name it, the DoD. We work a lot with, I've worked with USAID plenty of times, especially when it comes to joint humanitarian operations. And right now, even I daily talk to the USAID rep over here in European Command. You're also, so as a civil affairs soldier, you're also required to go to the infamous SEER school, which stands for Survive, Escape, Resistance, Evasion. We're actually not allowed to talk too much about it in detail, but essentially you learn how to survive without food, water, and shelter. You evade the adversary in enemy territory as they try to capture you. You resist interrogation techniques, and you escape captivity. I'd say the one thing I remember the most was being hit so hard in the face that I felt my jaw pretty much sore for the next like 2 to 3 days. So some of those things that you just love about SEER school. So as a civil affairs officer, I served as a team leader at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Tacoma, Washington, where I got to go to South Korea for a major exercise and help refine the non-combatant evacuation operations plan. That's the one where, in the event of North Korean incursion, the State Department sounds the alarm and tells all American citizens to evacuate the country. So really important stuff. I also got to work on the Pacific Partnership mission with the US Navy Pacific Fleet. I wasn't afforded the opportunity to go on the mission due to having to head to my next assignment, which does happen from time to time. But my unit got to ride on the US Navy ship, the Mercy Hospital ship, and conduct civil and medical engagements in places like the Philippines, East Timor, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Indonesia during that summer of 2016. So following that, I got to serve in US Army Human Resources Command at Fort Knox. I was the career manager for all my fellow civil affairs captains. Which was definitely a change of pace from the operational Army. And if you know anything about the military service, sometimes you do very operational work, and then sometimes you do something like staff work or administrative work. So this was my admin tour. Essentially, I gave all my own peers, fellow captains, career advice, and most importantly, selected them for their assignments, which can be a highly emotional event for a lot of officers. Basically, you get to decide where they and their family will have to move to for 2 to 3 years of their lives. It was a pretty big responsibility and one that I was specifically selected for to head up over there. So I had the opportunity to attend the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey for 18 months, where I earned a master's in defense analysis with a focus on special ops and irregular warfare. That was definitely a great academic experience, learning more about special operations and its application in today's great power competition against Russia and China. Plus, it was located in the gorgeous Monterey. It's a bit rare to get to go to such a nice duty location in the Army, honestly. Currently, I'm a civil affairs company commander in charge of those 4 teams in Eastern Europe. We have the Baltics and we have Ukraine. Obviously, Ukraine is always a very, very sensitive place. So, we're always daily talking to that team. And I'm based out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is the home of the Airborne and Special Operations Command. I also dual hat here in Stuttgart as the civil military lead at Special Operations Command Europe, where I essentially oversee all civil military operations in Europe. Once I get back to Fort Bragg next month, I plan to transition out and possibly get assigned to South Korea next with 8th Army, which is about an hour and a half south of Seoul. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. So far, I've done a total of 13 years on active duty with 4 years of West Point. I'm 34, so you do the math. I've spent half of my life in uniform. The military has definitely been a wild ride with lots of international travel and living abroad. I'm a single unmarried officer, which at my rank, there's really not that many. I don't have any kids. So it's relatively easy for me to move around every 2 to 3 years. But I will say that if you decide to do more than your initial commitment and attempt to retire with that pension after 20 years, know that's not an easy life. Every assignment I've taken has been like another contract agreement between me and the Army. As long as I thought my service has meaning to me and has potential for my continued growth as not only an Army professional, but as an individual, I would consider to continue to serve. Just my philosophy. So right now, Korea is a great opportunity. I've always enjoyed living overseas, and I actually get to focus on a real world mission and serve my country in a way that I think is beneficial for the nation, for the Army, and ultimately, I think for my development as well. The military does have its ups and downs, and I've learned a lot of hard, painful lessons over the years, but that's what being a military officer does for you. It makes you grow quicker, faster, and stronger than most any other professions out there. So again, I just want to thank, let me stop sharing this. I just want to thank the Rotary Club for giving me an opportunity to speak to you all today, and congrats again on your acceptance to the academies. I hope you got to learn a thing or two just from my own experiences about academy life and my career. So now if you have any questions, I gladly take them, from parents, candidates, anybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Major Padua. We appreciate the time you took today. I am going to open the floor first to the honorees, if that's okay, Rotarians, for questions. So honorees, if you have any questions, you can raise your hand for Major Padua, or parents, guests of honorees. Any questions for Major Padua? All right, I'll open up to the general floor. Anyone else have questions for Major Padua? If I can't see you, you can turn on your camera. I had a question. There was one photo, Major Padua, where it was like a six panels, and there was like a temple. Was that in Iraq, or it looked like a temple?
It was in the desert. Yeah, that was in Iraq. I was served there for 9 months in a place called Kabadar, which is in like southern, kind of like mid-southern Iraq, so between Baghdad and Basra. So on that base, there's a place called the Ziggurat of Ur, and that ziggurat was the birthplace of, I think, basically Abraham. Yeah, so it was the birthplace of Abraham, and so it's definitely it's thousands of years old. You could take tours there. In fact, I think Saddam Hussein, kind of rebuilt it up to kind of make it a better tourist attraction. But essentially, I got promoted on top of that ziggurat from second lieutenant to first lieutenant. So it was definitely a cool opportunity to be over there at the time.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for me? Bill Payne, if you can unmute yourself. Bill, you're on mute.
Justin, thank you very much for speaking to us today. And I guess what I have come away with in your talk is all of your pictures, you had a big smile on your face. So with the responsibility that you bore, and with your probably inability to fully unpack, because it seemed to me you were always on the go to the next assignment, you seem, from your facial impression, unless you're giving us managed photographs, you seem to enjoy the trip. And I guess with the pain and the grief and being away from home, enjoying your mission makes it just that much easier to bear. And just thank you for your service, for passing on your 17 years of experience to the newbies. And gee, we're just so pleased to have you with us, and knowing that you're from San Marino and one of us.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, appreciate it, Bill.
Okay, I saw Mr. John Drew, your hand was up. If you can unmute yourself.
Thanks for parents.
I'm sorry, John, we can barely hear you.
Okay. Do you have any advice for Can't.
Oof. I don't know. I feel like my own parents could actually probably give better advice on parenting. Not just one military officer, but I have, my brother's a sergeant, also in the active duty army. So they got two that are both serving. I don't know. So I don't know. Mom, Dad, you have any advice?
You're on mute, Mr. Padilla.
Yeah, this is Vincent Padua. And that having two children in the military is certainly a heavy burden on the family, not just in terms of their being away so much, but also always we're kind of concerned about them all the time. And of course, being with Justin also, almost in the front lines in terms of our relationship or conflicts with the Eastern Bloc countries, including Russia. That kind of puts us in a situation that we can be nervous about in terms of what could happen to him. We've seen the, not the downing, but yes, there was a downing of civilian aircraft over Ukraine by the Russians a few years back. And then also the most recent forced down of a civilian airliner by the government of Belarus. So there's always that concern of ours. And of course, with Russia being very aggressive now in terms of cyber war and cyber hacking, it kind of makes us realize that this is really a world that is quite dangerous. And if it's dangerous for us, it's even more so for our two sons. But we appreciate their service, and we are always there for them in case they need us for, let's say, support from an emotional standpoint, which sometimes they do. There are times in which they would have to confide in us about their personal feelings and how they're dealing with the various obstacles in their lives, both professionally and also at the personal level. So for the parents, be there for your children all the time. When he went through Beats Barracks during the summer over in West Point, of course, he could not contact us by phone, except on a very rare basis. But he would write us letters, and also he would, when we do talk, we would give him as much comfort and encouragement as possible. Of course, having a roommate who eventually quit West Point during the first summer he was there, that was a real downer in terms of his morale. But fortunately, Justin was able to go through it, and with some help from us in terms of parental encouragement there. So that's what our advice is for the parents. Be there for your children.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla.
Yeah, plus my parents also had reservations that they got 4 years early for my graduation at the West Point Hotel. So the pressure was on for me to graduate after 4 years. So they didn't have to dump that reservation.
Right.
Just to add, on the day of our day, when you bring your children in, you have to make call the hotel and make the reservation for a graduation, which is 4 years going forward, 4 years after.
Well,
so if you're lucky, you can get the reservation. If not,
this is the hotel that's right
On campus.
On campus itself. So that's the choices location. Of course, not being familiar with the other service academies, we don't know whether or not there are on campus facilities like that. But this is the on-site hotel. So by the time that after the first day, all the bookings are fully booked already. All the slots.
Actually, I believe that maybe a month or so ago, the West Point Hotel has already been completely booked for the graduation of 25. So.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Well, for the
Wow.
parents, another thing I was going to add is that don't expect anything permanent in the army. They can tell you one thing, and the next month or the next week it's going to change. So don't be always room for surprise.
Thank you.
Nothing is permanent.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Padua. I see that Lorraine, you have your hand up. If you can unmute yourself.
Yes, I want to ask Justin, given our very divided political environment, how would you encourage your servicemen to serve and stay apolitical?
That's a tough question, honestly. So personally, I have, had soldiers who, ask about, sir, like, have you heard this news report or that news report? And then I'll look it up, and it's actually fake news. It's not, like it's clearly, like, hey, this is like propaganda. I'd say the thing is about being a leader. Like I said earlier, it's like you can't just show empathy, or you can't just lead some. You have to lead all. So you have to find kind of like that common denominator. And honestly, you have to be very neutral. And it's not just politics, right? Religion, like basically a lot, just almost any idea, because it's like it's like taboo to talk about politics at the dinner table. Sometimes it's the same thing in the military. You just it's just something that to maintain good order and discipline, you kind of have to make sure to say, hey, what ideals do we all kind of follow? Hey, the Army values, what the Army believes in, the Army mission. You stick to that, and then you can stay an effective leader. I would definitely shy away from trying to talk about or even demonstrate like any kind of bias or anything like that towards any viewpoint, because as a leader, as an officer especially, it could get you in big trouble. So that's definitely my advice for military leaders.
Thank you.
Thank you, Major Padua. That's great advice. Thank you, Lorraine, for your question. Gilda, are you going to mute yourself?
So I want to echo what Bill said. Very articulate. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And yes, you are radiant. And so we're thank you for serving our country. But you have a great attitude. You can see that on your face. When you talked about that, and you had a picture, and you talked about getting hit in the face, and your jaw was like in pain. I can't remember the acronym, but survival with no food and no water and all of that. Have you ever seen an incident where someone's in that training and they can't take it and they give up? Has that ever happened?
Actually, during that course, just like I had a roommate, at Beast Barracks who quit. Literally, so we all had bags over our heads as part of the training. And he started hyperventilating actually right next to me after he had that bag over his head. This is Fort Rucker, Alabama. It was in the middle of the summer. It's hot. And then he kept saying that he couldn't breathe. They actually give you a safe word during that course so that they could just yank you from, the course. Basically it's like, hey, I quit, I can't take it anymore. So you say this like phrase, and he said it. And I was definitely shocked, because this guy he was gonna be a pilot. And every single pilot has to pass this course. So essentially he was just getting rid of his chance of ever becoming an Army helicopter pilot, which, was definitely shocking to me. Yeah, but SEER is the acronym. So survive, evade, resist, escape. That's the school.
Thank you for your question, Gilda. Any other questions? You can raise your hand. Bill?
I have two questions. One about while you were at West Point, the discipline for demerits. Did you ever get any? And number two, your school is fully integrated and has been for a number of years. Is that integration not a question anymore? How much did you see? Pretty much taken care of? Where do you assess women in the military, women at West Point when you were there? And did you see any difference between your freshman year and your senior year?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So I definitely, okay, so to answer your first question, I was a good boy. I received no demerits the entire time I was there. I kept my nose clean. I actually had a very cool TAC officer. So there's always officers like who kind of like are like the true parents of the cadets. So there's cadet leadership, but there's also what they call TAC officers. So these are captains or majors who are the legal guardians or legal commanders of your cadet companies. I think what I did is that I didn't lock up something with my kind of like high value items in one of my closets. Like I didn't put a padlock on it. And they found it over the winter holidays while I was gone, while me and my roommate were gone. And we should have gotten 6 walking hours. And if you know anything about walking hours, you're literally marching in a square in the quad at West Point. And I think you could only do like maybe 8 hours on a weekend. So essentially that's like, hey, you have to walk 20 hours. That means a couple of your weekends are going to be taken for you just to be walking around, like marching in a square back at school. So no trips in New York City, no visiting family, so you're stuck at West Point for that. So I didn't get any. So during that time when I violated that rule, my TAC officer was a really cool guy, and he was like, hey, you know what? Instead of walking 6 hours, hey, you better go watch a hockey game, a basketball game, and I think I watched like a soccer game. And he was like, yeah, just be a spectator for the Army sports, So that's what I did. Just walked all the way up to the Holler Center, watched a hockey game and a basketball game. So that got me out of it. So that was a great leader, by the way. And yeah, I definitely admired and respected him. Yeah, and then forgot the other question.
About women.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
Women in the
Oh yeah.
military.
So yeah. So okay. So yeah. So women and kind of integration at West Point. Actually, I think somebody mentioned about diversity at the Air Force Academy, and that was the reason why they chose it. I've actually looked at the demographics, but I guess I could kind of see that, maybe West Point is a little less diverse than the Air Force Academy would be. But in terms of, honestly, like inclusion, in terms of diversity, there was great. I'd say all of it there was no issues really. I still remember that one of the first captains, her name was Stephanie Hightower. She was the first captain, I think, during my junior year over there, and everybody thought that she was an amazing first captain. And the first captain is basically the commander, the highest ranking cadet of the Corps of Cadets. So in terms of men, women, I'd say there's really no bias. Women were just afforded just as much of an opportunity to serve in leadership positions as men. Yeah, and in fact, there's actually one story of First Lieutenant Emily Perez that a lot of people remember, because she definitely yelled at a whole bunch of us. She was the brigade cadet sergeant major, yelled at us all during Beast Barracks. But she graduated, she became a medical service corps officer, and she was actually killed in Iraq just within a year, I think a year or two after she graduated and commissioned. And they announced it. So if you know anything, so during the war years, when I was there, it was 2004 to 2008. So Iraq and Afghanistan were going pretty heavy at the time. What they would do if a cadet ever got killed in action is that they would have a moment of silence during lunch when that happens. So after the family's notified, we'll do a moment of silence at the cadet mess hall. For those people. There were definitely some demoralizing days, because sometimes you would hear it several times in 1 week. while we were going to school. So, but in the end, what it did is that, I'd say unlike maybe some of the other academies, for West Point, we clearly knew that we were all graduating and we were expected to go into an actual war. That I think is what's probably different today. And when I graduated 2008, by 2009, I was in the desert in Iraq. So it was definitely a different time. Luckily, that's not the case anymore. But it definitely put things into perspective when you're going to school during wartime.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. We have time for one more question. You can raise your hand if you have a question for Major Padua. All right. Thank you very much, Major Padua. Thank you so much for coming today. Round of applause for Major Padua, coming to us all the way from Germany. It is now, what time is it? It's 10, almost 10:30?
Yeah, 10:20.
10:20 p.m. So thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate your advice to all of the honorees. We want to thank all of the honorees. We want to thank all of the special guests for the honorees, all of our Rotarian guests. From the U.S. Air Force Academy, we want to thank Amy Chui, Ashley Lin, Leah Marcus. From the U.S. Military Academy, Devin Fung, Finn Yakowitz. From the U.S. Coast Guard Academy, James Chase, Gustava Drew, and Paige Felkins. Thank you all so much for coming today. We greatly appreciate the time you took today and allowing us to honor you. Thank you so much for coming. All right, Rotarians and guests, thank you so much for joining us for today's meeting. Don't forget, next week are craft talks with Daryl Topelian and Tony Galavis. The June 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Rotary Club San Marino is adjourned. Thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Padua.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bill and Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you,
Good
Major
job.
Padua. Thank you. Great job.
Great
Yes.
job, Aaron.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Bill. Great job to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Bill.
You got it. You got it. Thank you, Lorraine. Thank you for coming today.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. Thank you, John, Mr. and Mrs. Drew. Thank you so much for coming today. And Mr. Padua, I understand you want a recording from the meeting, correct? Do you want a recording
right.
from?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you just
we
email it
should-
to us?
Yeah, we should have it ready probably in about, I would say 48 hours or so. We usually have it up on our website and I'll email you the link.
Okay, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night or a good day. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Major Padua, have a good night. Bye.